Hey everybody, this is Steve from Heroes and Villains. Also, I'm one of the contributing writers and artists for Robot Dreams, a comic anthology. My story in here is called Powerbot. I wrote it and drew it, and then it was made to look really cool by Mr. Ed Yancey. He's a super talented guy, and big thanks to him. Look him up. You'll be happy you did. Your eyes will thank you. He's a very talented artist. Just makes things pop. He made me look like I knew what I was doing, kind of. Anyway, I'm going to read to you my story in Robot Dreams, a comic anthology, which, by the way, is loaded with stories. To give you an idea, my story is only like 8 pages. Just 8 of these pages is my story. The rest is filled with a bunch of other stories made by some talented folks. So, let's begin. You open up to my story, and you have this scene right here. There you are. This is the images. I'll show you these after I read a little bit for you. Bear with me, and please forgive the sounds in the background. Here we go. Earth's last hope rests in the hands of the magnificent might of Mr. Power and 50 USA Space Force issued space nukes. Gotta have space nukes in a story, of course. A planet-eating asteroid has Earth in its sights and its menu. So that's the first image of Mr. Power flying into space with all these space nukes going after this beast up here that wants to eat Earth and all of us. He can't let that happen, and neither can the United States Space Force. So they're going after it. Let's hope they succeed. Mr. Power is the only superhero Earth has ever seen. He has saved countless lives and has never seen the limits of his power. He now fears this could be his ultimate test, or even his last. Fear, duty, but mostly love fuels his resolve. In a small house outside Corset City, Mr. Power will lay it all on the line for her. If he succeeds, she and Earth survive. Earlier that evening, we have an image here of Mr. Power flying off, leaving his wife here as she sees him leave. And she says, "I love you. I know you will save the world. Please come back home." In the very next image, remember the image of him flying in space with all those nukes? There is the explosion, the impact. The impact created shockwaves through space. Nothing could survive the collision. Even at a safe distance from Earth, the light from the explosion was visible with the naked eye. Now, when he flew off, he had her press this little button right here, which sent this ship out of his he shed that he was working on. So he was working on that, and then this ship out in space is floating around out there, and this orb from the explosion seems to float, and then it winds up inside of the ship, the elevator-shaped ship, and then it heads back down to Earth, landing right here in the backyard where she has fallen asleep, waiting for her husband, her love, to return home. So I'll just walk you through it. So basically, as she's laying there, she's woken up by this hand. A big giant robot walked out of that ship and walked over to her and said this message that was pre-recorded by her husband in case he wasn't successful, or was successful and just didn't survive the mission. And over here is more of that message to her, and then he says there's danger and he has to go take care of it, and he'll be back. So her heart is completely broken, but this robot apparently needs to pick up where Mr. Power left off and go try to solve issues. So he goes after a very big issue, which happens to be a cat stuck in a tree. The police have showed up, and this giant robot. This lady's not too happy to see a giant robot reaching for her cat. And then there's these images. He saves the cat, and then a quick show of him saving people and stopping robberies and whatnot. And then he has to head home because she is sad. So he's going to head back. He can sense. So now, right now, we know that this robot, Powerbot, can actually sense Mr. Power's wife's feelings. He flies back and lands into the he shed, and she begins to. She walks in there. Are you in danger? He's asking, and she's like, "No, I don't want a robot. He was supposed to return." She puts her hand on his chest, and it lights up. And then all of a sudden, to go with the title of Robot Dreams, that inspired images and memories. His memories as Powerbot, which are few, and then also memories from Mr. Power to show up in his brain. And then it ends here. I don't know if you can see it, but that, of course, is a Coffee Mania cup. He even saved someone's coffee that they left on the top of their car. Anyway, this is my story from Robot Dreams, and that was just a big, simple little breakdown for it. The whole thing right there, but there's so much more in this book. A lot of talented folks, extremely good artists and writers in here. I strongly suggest you heading on over to Amazon and picking yourself up a copy, maybe a couple for your friends. Hand them out. If you send them to Heroes and Villains here in Cortland, New York, I'll even sign my little story for you and send it back to you. So yeah, let's get this book out there to everybody. Also, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, my little story in here is just think of it as issue 0. I'm going to continue it here, making more issues of Powerbot, and we'll see where this story leads. If you're a fan of, say, Superman and characters like that, I'm sure you'll enjoy Powerbot and what we come up with. I've got a few ideas to carry on the story. So this will be essentially issue 0 of Powerbot. So pick up Robot Dreams, a comic anthology, to get issue 0 of Powerbot, and also to get yourself all the stories in here. There is so much, folks. I'm telling you, you're gonna absolutely love it. So there you go. Have a good day.